talk about the dogs later.
Let me put go live. Okay, it says we're live.
Okay, drum roll.
Oh.
Which
Okay.
And which link is it?
It's refresh the page. It's a whole new stream, I think. Oh wait.
Okay.
It's freezing again. No.
No.
Oh. Hey, yeah, I can see.
All right, it's on.
Boop, boop.
Kind of. Yeah, I'm getting a very... Right now it's just us, though. See if anybody comes in.
Yeah, people are coming in.
Oh, good. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, everyone. Hopefully this will stick. I don't know what happened, but we got disconnected. But thanks for everybody that's gone back to my channel and refreshed and found the new link. I appreciate that. Let's give this just about 30 seconds for people to kind of come in and catch up. I'm so sorry. Robin was so funny. He said it because I mentioned that other company starts with an S.
Don't say it.
I'm not gonna say it.
Don't jinx us again.
Oh, how's the video quality though? Does it look okay? It looks a little rough on my end.
Looks good here. Okay,
so we got sound, we got video. This was going so well, everyone, and then that happens. It's YouTube's fault, but I'm glad some of you could make it back. Hopefully, most of you will find us again.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
Yeah. Now I'm all flustered. I don't even know what to do now. I'll just ask the questions I asked from last week, maybe. But let's see. I guess, you know, last time when we had everybody together and Robin and Jimmy were wedding photographers, but you were also in the chat room with us, and I didn't really get to see your feedback on, you know, what are like the highs and lows of being like a wedding photographer.
It's great. I love it. It can be quite stressful. You only get one shot to get things right. But I think the main thing is setting expectations. If you have a good line of communication with the client beforehand and they know what to expect, then you're golden. Problems only tend to arise if you don't have the communication and they expect something that you don't do, or, you know, a different style or whatever. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Wow. So, like, your very first wedding you did, I mean, you've never done a wedding before, right? This is your first wedding, for example. What was that like, just going out? Did you go by yourself? Did you have someone come with you as a backup photographer? What was that like, that first time?
Well, I did second shooting for a few.
Okay.
Just to make sure I had a bit of experience, because I think you are playing with people's memories, and if you're not prepared enough and something goes wrong, I'd feel terrible. But I started completely on my own, I think, for a very long time, and yeah, you just learn every time. I've done hundreds now. I'm trying to do around
hundreds.
25 to 35 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so any more than that and I would go insane, and the backlog of the editing just would be a nightmare. So I'm hoping to bring it closer to sort of 25 going forward, so I have a bit of a work-life balance.
That's still every other weekend.
Usually it ends up nothing for months and months and months, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just hammered.
Wow.
It's such a pain in the backside, but it's fun. It's fun, and I like meeting people, and it keeps me using my camera. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you know, I've only gone to weddings, and I took a few pictures for personal, but I've only been to 4 weddings in my entire life, and that's including my own. But I always wanted to, like, the last one I went to, it seems like it's so easy to just crash a wedding. Because nobody's keeping tabs on anybody coming in and out of the place, and there's free food everywhere.
Yeah, you could always be some random relative, couldn't you, and just sneak in.
It's just crazy.
Did I ever have problems with people not paying was a question. And I always ask for the balance in full at least 2 weeks prior. So I always have all the money up front. It's just good business sense.
Yeah, but you know, you're kind of already established, and you know, so they've seen your work before. But I can imagine, like, as a first-time wedding photographer, you know, wow, what do you show them? Or I don't know, because I would, you know, I'm not a wedding photographer, so I would be really, it would be very awkward for me to talk about pricing and try to get all that money up front, because what I do now is I just go out and shoot a few properties, and I email the pictures, and then they send the money later, because the risk is very low, right? We're talking $150 usually. But a wedding, you know, it's like an hour of my time at most, right?
Yeah.
How long does like, when you get there early, you leave late? I mean, how long do you normally do the weddings? Are they all about the same length, or?
My full day packages, some of them are crazy. The earliest I've ever had is a 6:30 a.m. call, because the bride had about 25 bridesmaids and they had to start the makeup really early. And then, of course, you're staying until 9:30, 10, and you're just dead on your feet by that point. But usually now, I'd say maybe 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. That's a full day wedding. And I like the 4-hour packages. You can get a nice chunk of money. Yeah. It's like $9.99 for my 4-hour package, and you can just rock up and take some photographs, and then you're home before you know it. I love those. Wow,
that's good. And then I guess just a technical question, like for a group shot, let's say it's a dozen people. What lens and setting, like flash, or how do you do a group shot like that? And what camera? Just tell me, like, you're going to take a group shot of 12 people. What's the process there?
For my group shots, I mean, it's the least creative, least fun part of a wedding for me.
Really?
And I just play it really safely. I love the portraiture. I love people watching. I love the rest of it. But the group shots, you're just doing it because someone's grandma wants them on the wall, aren't you? So I just stick a stock lens on and just play it very safe. Shoot like f4 and just in focus, nothing too fancy.
Okay, so f4 is enough to capture everybody's face in focus.
Yeah. Micro Four Thirds, absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay.
If it was on the S1, I'd do maybe f8 or f16 if it's a super bright day, which doesn't happen very often in England.
Yeah. And then do you use like the big lighting too, or you just put them in a place where the lighting's good?
Most of the time, it's looking for a big spot of shade outside. So whether that's against a church wall or under some trees, just nice, diffused, even light, or, you know, British cloudy weather, you're sorted. Right. Inside, I take my panel lights and do sort of 2 sort of LED panel lights or off-camera flash. That can sometimes help as well.
Right. And then, you know, Matti, you do corporate work, but you were talking a little bit about, like, if you're doing, did you say like you're in a factory or in a, what's like the biggest, like, kind of project that you would have? I'm just curious.
What do you mean biggest? Like biggest
in terms of like size, like for me, like if I do a commercial building, like I did a mall, like a strip mall once. That was a big job for me because it was, you know, 30,000 square feet of space, etc. Like for you, what's like a huge job?
I've shot some industrial plants and paper mills and stuff like that, and they are pretty big.
Yeah.
And some other industrial plants or factories, those were the biggest. Yeah.
And do they have like I mean, do they tell you exactly what they want or do you have to kind of go in there with some ideas and say, we should get shots of this and shot? I mean, what's that process like when you get a client for like a factory or a mill? Or...
Usually they have some like points or things in the whatever the machine or the interior or exterior. They want to highlight something, and they want me to kind of make that kind of pop up or something like that. Right. And then sometimes it's just an exterior shot like real estate, but it's just a big plant. If they build let's say they build a new extension to a factory, then they want me to take a picture of that, for example.
Oh, okay. And when what do they normally, where do they publish these photos? Do they go into a magazine or into not necessarily a magazine, but I'm trying to think like a company brochure, or what's the intent of a paper mill factory? Like I just can't. It's totally foreign to me, so I'm just curious.
Well, it's mostly annual reports and their own brochures, of course. But sometimes it's for their PR. Maybe they want to. How do you call it? How do you say their PR pictures that they want to deliver to the press, for example? How do you? I'm sure there's a proper expression for that. I just don't know what it is.
Okay.
But I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I hope you do.
Sorry, somebody's saying the chat and video are on 2 different threads. I'm just doing a technical thing. Let me make sure I got the right links here. LH, oh yeah. Sorry. There. Now, sorry everyone. I had the chat window from the previous thread up. God. Okay, let me get reorientated. Have you guys ever done any wildlife photography or like totally different genres? Like what like Emily, do you ever go out and shoot birds in flight or tigers, or what do you do? Do you do any wildlife photography other than maybe a dog?
No, I'd love to get into it. I've been toying with the 100 to, is it the 100 to 400 Lumix? Is that the lens? Yeah. Obviously an unnecessary purchase because it's not something I would use for work, but it's something I'd like to get into. I like experimenting, with indoor photography, macro photography, things like that. But I don't know if I have the patience for wildlife. I'd love to give it a go.
Okay. How about you, Matt? Do you ever do any wildlife, like fast action, moving birds, or just do you go to the zoo? That's all I do, right?
Not really. I think we're talking about the why we take pictures in our last live stream, and I said I need a proper reason to shoot, and therefore I don't find it meaningful to go to a zoo and take a picture of an owl or something, a bird. It doesn't give me any satisfaction. And the real wildlife photography is just all way too complicated, and I don't want to spend a night in a hide, just wait for a bird to show up or a bear or something. Although I have to say I'd like to go once in my life to a hide just to see bears, for example. There are some guys here in Finland, up in northern Finland. They organize these wildlife like safaris where you can actually see a wild bear. Yeah. And I think that would be awesome. But I haven't really photographed any wildlife seriously.
Right. Yeah, I just do some birding here locally at the parks and things, but I don't have any serious lenses. I just have the kit 75 to 300, etc. But Emily, Ivan's asking, any more on astrophotography with your move, shoot, move, whatever that is. That might be video.
It's an astrophotography something.
Sorry, the stream died again.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm still looking good here on my end.
Mine died.
Okay.
Gives the same error message. Please try again.
I can see, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Okay, it's all good. Oh, I can see it again now.
Okay. All right, Emily. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Sorry about that.
It's okay. No, it's the move shoot move is you can stick your camera on it and it moves along with the stars so that you can have a longer shutter speed for astrophotography. I took it to Monument Valley, where I camped overnight. And it was cloudy for the majority of the time.
Of course.
So I took it all the blooming way to Monument Valley and then didn't end up using it. But I do plan to do a lot more with it this coming year. I want to book a new moon holiday every month, even if it's somewhere local. I think it would be great.
Yeah. I've thought about like, so we're talking about a star tracker, right? That's what this.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But it's like the world's smallest one, and it's dead easy to set it up. You use like a laser rather than having to figure out anything technical, so it's really good. Anything easy. Where I get to play with lasers, you just point the laser at Polaris, and you're good to go. It's great.
Yeah, I was always wondering, like, if I got a star tracker, like, how do you find the North Star? I'd be so lost. It just sounds complicated, but I see these pictures of like the constellations and these beautiful pictures. So I always wanted to get like 1,000mm lens and take my own picture of like the Horse Nebula.
Yeah, so cool.
That would be cool. Ken has a question about the ND filter option on the EM1 Mark III. Is it possible with a firmware update? No, I seriously doubt it. The ND filter function is a function of the image stabilizers. So you would need the same image stabilization system in the other cameras for that to be a firmware update. So I doubt it. I'm just thinking from a hardware standpoint. But Matty, you've been doing some street photography lately, mostly black and white. But what about like, have you been doing any color street photography or?
Actually, most of my street stuff is in color, but it was just the one video where I wanted to shoot black and white. And in that particular video, I also wanted to kind of show how to build up like a small story with multiple pictures. Because I think these days we see so many awesome single images, but it's kind of relatively easy to take one single image every now and then that looks good or appeals to social media consumers. But to build a story that has several pictures and those pictures work together, it's much more difficult and challenging. And I think more people should try that. And it's not about taking like 5 great images. It's about telling a story with 5 images, and all those images can't be equal, of course, because then the story doesn't flow. It's like editing a video. You gotta have different type of like shots in the video too, for it to work, like big shots, small shots, and close-ups, wider establishing shots, and whatever you call them. The same thing if you try to build a story with multiple photographs.
Yeah, and again, that's something I definitely want to do. I've been printing more and putting them in my little photo albums, and so I was thinking maybe my idea was maybe do a story on antique stores, and all the little things you find in an antique store. That's kind of the project I've been thinking about, and that's something that I think, Emily, you would be really good at. But have you ever published anything, or have you created a small book just for yourself? What do you do, or you're just too busy with weddings and making other people's stories? What's going on there?
I would love to. It's on my to-do list. I don't know if I want to do like a little sort of magazine or a coffee book sort of thing, even to just have my own copy. I don't know if anybody else would be remotely interested in seeing it, but right. I think seeing all of maybe like a body of work for the year and just sort of seeing how I progress and all the different sort of stories, and even using different cameras as well. I think that'd be really good.
So you want to do a whole year story?
Yeah, maybe pick like the best 5 images from each month. Then I can sort of look back and go, that's what I was up to in January when it did nothing but rain.
Okay, well, pick one from each one to make a calendar. I bet people will buy it.
Yeah, that'd be good fun.
Moonport has a question for you both about the GX80 tilt screen. It says, when taking a photo in portrait mode low to the ground, I don't see what is on my LCD screen. Any trick for that? Going on my knees is not possible.
I think the only workaround would be using the app and doing it remotely.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Other than that, just get another camera with a tilt screen.
I'm a fan of hit and wish. You know, the joys of digital. Just shoot a few off, and surely one will be close enough.
Do you guys use the app much? I'm sorry. Do you guys use the app much on the Panasonic? I haven't even tried the app for the Lumix. Is it any good, or does it connect, or do you guys use it at all?
I think it works well, but I don't use it that often. I use it sometimes when I'm taking cover shots for my YouTube videos, and I'm taking kind of selfie with the camera. But if the camera is kind of far away, then I use the app, and it works great.
Okay. Do you use the app at all, Emily, like in pro work at all, or just for your personal stuff?
When I'm traveling to transfer photographs, it's quite handy. But I found every time I use it, it just keeps getting worse. Like the last time I used it, it wouldn't transfer a RAW file.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems like Lumix fix it and they do an update and ruin it again. But it is super handy for when I'm in here, filming my videos and making sure I'm in focus, and seeing a little bit of a remote screen is quite handy.
Okay. And then Roman's asking about prints. Like, do your prints come out like what you see on the screen in terms of color? So I guess that would depend. Do you print at home? Do you send them to the print shop? What's the color like from what you see on the screen to what you see in print?
It's really down to how calibrated your monitor is, I think. Is that what you would agree?
Yes, and you've got to have the right profile for the paper on your printer. At least if you have a little bit higher end printer, you can download from the paper manufacturer's website. You can download the print profile for the printer and the specific paper, and then when you get all the workflow right, then you get what you see, what you get, or you get what you see, whatever.
Right.
But you gotta have every piece right, and the correct profiles and everything. But if you have a low-end printer, then you can't get those profiles. Of course, they are only for a little bit higher-end printers.
Right, and I really got into that for a little bit, like downloading I think it's Red Paper. But there's paper manufacturers that sell paper for printing, and they have the profiles that you can download from their website for the specific paper, and then Epson, you can calibrate the printers to your monitor, to your camera. There's a whole workflow process from X-Rite for all of that. So if you want to get hardcore into accurate colors from camera to screen to print, it's pretty involved. Not impossible, but it's probably easier just to, take your image to a printer that does all of it for you.
Okay, I just want to say that at first it may seem like a bit tedious and daunting job, but once you get it all right, then it's done, and you never have to do it again.
Right.
The workflow and all the profiles and everything. Once you get it right and you understand it, then it's pretty easy to get the prints kind of right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a one-time thing, right? You get it all set up right one time.
Yeah. And it's if you print yourself, if you just want like cheap, affordable prints, just have them printed somewhere else. But if you want the full control and you want to use specific fine art papers and stuff like that, then printing yourself is the only or the right option, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, and just like editing our own files, right? And taking a raw file and editing ourselves versus just using a JPEG.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. So, Costa's asking, if you're going to print a photo book, what size would you prefer?
Ooh, I do a lot of 12 by 12 for my brides, and then sort of 10 by 10 for the family. For personal use, I'm terrible. I'm not quite sure. Okay. What would you recommend?
That's interesting. 12 by 12, and then the prints are 12 by 12 too. I mean, the images, or are they're square, or do you put multiple images in that 12 by 12 space?
Usually multiple images.
Okay.
They sort of design it in a piece of software before, and then proof it with the couple, and then off they go. Okay.
And do you have any print labs that are any good in Europe? Like any favorites?
I use Loxley. They seem to be a good balance between quality and price. I think they're very, very good.
Okay. How about you, Matti? Do you use any print shops?
I haven't done many books like on my own. I've had so many photos printed in various publications over the years but I print a lot myself here. I have a printer.
And Ivan would like to know from Emily more about your drone and drone photography.
Oh, I love it as a hobbyist. I'm no longer qualified to do it commercially, just because it was not cost effective at all and too much red tape. But as a hobbyist, it's just so much fun. I took it around Italy and last year around Sardinia, and it's just a completely different perspective. I love the original Mavic Pro because it's the only one remaining that will actually do vertical photos, because you can turn the camera around physically. So it does vertical photos and vertical videos for the Instagram stories. So for photography, I think it's a great tool. I love it.
Wow. Okay. And then Blind KK is asking, like, what lenses would you like to see in the future? Zoom or prime? Whatever lenses. Any thoughts, Matti?
So what lenses? Okay, I'd like Panasonic to kind of partly redo the prime lens lineup so that there's already this awesome 12mm 1.4, and I'd like to have matching 25mm, and I'd like them to redo the Nocticron so it's weather sealed. So
I agree with
that. 12, 25, and 45 or 45-ish, all like the same series, same quality, optically, mechanically weather sealed. Okay. I think that would be really awesome.
That's interesting. So there's not a lot of weather sealed lenses from Panasonic then. I've never really paid attention one way or the other.
There are
plenty,
but some of the primes are not, because they are not all designs, but old enough not to be weather sealed. Because I think the weather sealing has only become a big issue during the last couple of 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
And before that, it was not that big of a deal.
Right.
And I think one reason for that is that cameras have so many features already that the manufacturers try to bring some new features, and I think the weather sealing was one of them. So that now that almost every camera is weather sealed, and I think it's good, of course.
Right. And Emily, do you concur with that, or is there a specific lens you want to see?
In terms of weather sealing, I'm so angry that my 25mm 1.4 isn't weather sealed, because it's not a cheap lens. It's not a cheap lens.
Right.
In terms of next on my to-do list, I really want a semi-affordable anamorphic lens for my wedding films. I want to go J.J. Abrams on their ass. I'd love a 25mm maybe.
Wow.
But some of them are quite pricey. So I'm hoping to find a bargain.
Well, I think, Maddie, you did an anamorphic lens review, didn't you?
Yes, but it was the phone. Yeah, it's great, actually. But there's a brand called Siori that have brought an anamorphic out for, I think, maybe £500.
Yeah.
And that seems much more affordable.
Yeah, I tried it. I had a review on it, and that too. I have a review for everything.
Yeah, you review everything.
But I really liked the lens, especially on video. I shot some stills, also photographs with it, and it works fine. But in video, it's just it's amazing. It's just the 50mm. I think it's a tad too long for Micro Four Thirds. Even though the horizontal angle of view is wider than 50, of course, because it's anamorphic. But something like 25 would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, they contacted me to review, and the Kickstarter just did so well that they just kind of said, "I'm so sorry, we've got no models left." And I'm like, I'm going to have to buy it like everybody else. So. Yeah. So it's the next one.
Okay. They always, I get, as you know, we all get offers in our emails to review products, and just a lot of crap that I would never review. But that anamorphic lens was one of them. But they never sent it to me. They took my address and information, and I said I'd love to test out an anamorphic lens.
Yeah, I think they did the same with me. We must have been in the second wave of reviewers, and they just had such a demand for it that they were just like, no, we need these for people that are actually buying it.
Right.
Okay, what happened in my case was that the Finnish importer, they had one pre-production sample, and they gave it to me for a review. I had to return it, of course. I didn't get to keep the lens, but that was the deal, and I think that's why I got it, because they already had the lens.
Yeah.
And some guys like you never got it because there were no more pre-production samples available.
Okay. And you guys really think weather sealing is a big deal, or is that important to you in your work, or, and not necessarily the lenses, but the cameras themselves?
I would say yes for my line of work. Yes, many soggy weddings, and I went dolphin watching earlier, like last year, and I had my GH5, which was weather sealed and fine, but I was testing out the Maker Cine lens, the worst lens you could probably think of to stick on a boat, and that's not weather sealed. It survived, but that wasn't the most sensible thing I've ever done.
How about you, Maddie? Do you feel like you need a weather-sealed camera? Is that like a deal breaker if a camera doesn't have that, or where does that stand, like, in terms of your buying decision on weather sealing?
It's not a deal breaker, but I think it's a very good feature, because over here too in Finland it rains a lot, especially at this time of the year, and when I'm on a job. I need to have a weather sealed equipment, because I can't stop working if it starts raining, unless the rain kind of spoils the picture and I have to stop because of that. But I can't tell my client that, okay, it's raining, we have to stop, if they want me to continue.
Right. Yeah, for me, I have the luxury, because I do primarily commercial real estate, and the buildings are empty. And we don't have that in the U.S. market. There's not a rush to get the pictures. So I can always say, wait till it's a nice day out and sunny. So I can get some nice exteriors and some nice, interiors. Residential real estate, you don't have that luxury. You have to be able to go the same day or next day to get the image, because they have to put it online into their system right away. And I think if I was doing more residential type real estate, I would consider a weather sealed camera as, you know, a major buying decision factor, because I would probably be, you know, I wouldn't have that luxury of being able to pick a nice day to go shoot. But right now that's not the case, and I, you know, weather sealing is very low on my list in terms of buying decision process. Because, you know, once you get the camera weather sealed, you have to get all the lenses weather sealed. You know, it's not like a one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just Roberto's saying, first I want to give a shout out to everyone that came back. I appreciate that for the live stream. I know it's kind of tricky switching from the other one to this one. And I just saw someone I went on a photo walk with recently, Digital Grandpa. Had a great time. He's from Germany, and he was just in my area for a week for some business, and we got together and did some photo shooting. So I just want to say hi, Digital Grandpa. Good to see you here. Ivan's asking, how does Panasonic weather sealing rate with Olympus weather sealing? Any thoughts?
It's hard to say. I mean, I guess Olympus is the only one who gives some official, like, how do you say, certificate or
right.
whatever it is, IP something.
Yeah, IPX1, right.
But in practice, it's hard to say which one is the best or whatever.
Yeah. In practice, I mean, my argument, I have a weather sealing video, and my argument is that you know, once you take off the lens, you know, so much for weather sealing, right? So you have to go out with like two bodies, one with a different lens, you know, if you need to swap lenses in the field, because you never want to swap when you're out. And then, of course, condensation is the biggest challenge. No camera will is weather sealed against, you know, condensation. You can get inside the camera and inside the lens. It happens to me time to time where, like, I'll be in my car, air conditioned, and then I'll get out to take a picture, and then the lens steams up from the inside, so I can't even wipe the front.
Yeah, I've had that. I was doing a commercial film, and I had to go and do like the gimbal shots of the swimming pools and stuff, and we had to walk through like where the steam room and the sauna was, and my lens just went just fogged up instantly.
Instantly, right?
Yeah, I had to wait around for it to sort of acclimatize a little bit.
Right. Now, you know, I see you use gimbals time to time too. Emily, are they weather sealed too, or they're not?
No. But I took one up Mount Etna when it was very snowy, and it seemed to work okay. So I think they're not officially weather sealed, but they are more robust than you would think.
Okay. And then, you know, the other problem with weather sealing is like they say, it's dust proof, right? And I'm thinking, because I went to the beach with my dog once with a camera and got sand in the lens and inside the box, I don't want to call it a mirror box, but the sensor box inside the mount.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was rough. I got a little mini vacuum and vacuumed it out, and it was okay. Didn't scratch the sensor or anything, but yeah, you never get sand out of a lens, and the focus ring was all, you know, crispy.
Crunchy.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that was rough. I blame it on Ellie though. She knocked the camera over. So I think go ahead.
I find it a bit of a problem if I want to go out and shoot video in the rain. Then all my audio gear is not weather sealed, And as soon as I open the microphone ports and whatever plugs in my camera, all that is also exposed to the rain or whatever.
Yeah.
So I wish we had also weatherproof audio gear. It would be nicer to do that.
Well, I put electrical tape around it. I just wrap it around, and that works. I even electrical taped some of my lenses once because I just autofocus anyway, so I didn't care about the focus ring. And it's just stupid things we do, I guess, when we know we shouldn't. Oh, okay. Can't vlog in the rain with good audio. No, unless you have BBC give you audio gear. Just reading out loud some comments here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Joe. He was featured on the BBC for his wildlife photography.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay. I always Joe's always in my live streams. I always tease him because he was on Instagram before as the real Joe Morano. That was his thing. And then I saw a picture of him and I made the mistake of saying he was a good-looking guy, you know. I was like, Joe, you're a good-looking guy. Oh my God. But so Joe's been on the BBC and he's pretty well established photographer, huh? I mean, I have no doubt because his images are awesome whenever I went onto his Instagram, and that's what always impresses me about the audience. I don't know if you guys find this on your channels. I'm sure you do, but a lot of them, because I've only been doing this about 6 years, right? Before that, I would just barely took pictures at all. But a lot of the photographers or a lot of viewers on my channel are very experienced and have years and years, kind of like Matti. They've been shooting film since the 60s, and I'm always flattered that they come onto my channel and can find, one little nugget of information like that they didn't know,
Yeah, it's astounding on the Microphone Nerds Facebook group. We're around, I think, 8,000 members now, and every single day there is just phenomenal photography from all around the world.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that are 10 times better than I'll ever be, and it's just so humbling, and it sort of gives you something to strive for. It's great.
Yeah. How about you, Matti? I mean, you have your channel and your Instagram. Like, how do you find your followers? What's the general sort of group that you have?
Because I don't have any Facebook group or anything like that, like Emily, for example. But I get the feeling that they are a good bunch and great people. Of course, they follow me. They gotta be great.
Yeah.
Seriously, and it's good to be like Emily said, humble, and I also learn all the time from my audience, and I think it's great to see how much there is that you really don't know. Some maybe just little things, and then you're just one bit wiser every day.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I learn a lot from my viewers as well, because they'll email me or they'll leave comments in the forum, etc. And I say, I got to try that, or thanks for telling me that. I had no idea, And but somebody will say, I've had this camera for 2 or 3 years, and you showed me one thing I never knew was possible. And it just, but then I see their photography and I'm like, what could I possibly teach you? It's like, you're such an awesome photographer. What could I possibly offer? So I'm always impressed by that. Joe's saying he started with a G7 and that Emily's been a big help over the last 2 or 3 years. So do you know Joe personally, Emily, or is it just through the channel?
Nerd friends. We have had a good chat on Instagram for many years, and seeing him progress from sort of, he had a car channel originally, and now he's found his sort of niche and his passion in wildlife photography, and it's super cool to see how much he's progressed.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a lot better than me now.
Yeah, I love it when I'll do a tutorial or something on a specific technique, you know, like light painting or whatever it is, like something weird, right? And then I go on Instagram and I start seeing pictures, you know, from you know, my followers posting images from my tutorial, and I'm like, man, they did an awesome job, you know. So that's always exciting for me to see that, you know, I showed somebody something new and they're doing great with it, you know, much better. Because honestly, I'd say like 80% of the videos I make on any kind of technique or feature in a camera, I don't use, you know, but I try to teach it. You know, just for everyone else's sake. But then I see people do amazing things with that, and you know, actually, let me go back to this. Blind is saying Emily's ETTR video was an awakening video for me. And,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I should watch it, because ETTR and Maddie, I think you did a great video on ETTR. Which I haven't watched, but people have been recommending I watch your ETTR video.
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, yours will be a lot more technical than mine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the zebra video, yeah.
Okay, but yeah, give me like a little primer on what, I mean, I have a basic idea of pushing the histogram to the right, but what's the purpose of ETTR? Like, I just don't understand, because when I expose for things, I you know, I always get the exposure I want, so I understand exposure triangle and everything, but what's the purpose of ETTR exactly? Why do people shoot using that technique?
Shall I start, or
you go?
You go.
Okay, the purpose of ETTR is to kind of fully saturate the sensor or the photodiodes or whatever, the pixels, and minimize the noise that way. It may be that if you expose like that, you can't use the JPEG because it becomes too bright. And it may be that in post you have to pull back the exposure on your raw file just a bit, but all the information is there. And the purpose of the ETTR is to capture all the possible information from the scene.
Okay.
And if you underexpose, then you leave some of the information, like it's not coming inside of your camera.
Okay.
If you underexpose. And that's the purpose.
That sounds much more technical. My understanding of it is, if you have to pull up the shadows, you pull up more noise.
Yeah.
So it's more pleasing to roll off the highlights rather than pull up the shadows. But Matty's much more knowledgeable.
But
okay.
Also, one more thing. It depends on the camera. Some cameras, the highlight roll-off becomes nicer if you don't expose quite that far to the right. So it depends on your camera, and it's worth experimenting where the limit is. And all Lumix cameras, they have the zebra, and you can adjust the zebra to come up at certain level. And with the zebra, you can expose very, very precisely if you want to. But having said that, I've become a bit lazy with my exposures, and I don't care too much always. I just figure the image quality is, most of the time, it's good enough anyway, and I've become a bit lazy, I confess.
Right. No, and that's how I am. I just I get the exposure that I want. It sounds like ETTR is you're taking a shot with the intent to process it later.
Yes.
And that's not something I normally do in my shooting. If I think I'm going to have noise, I just crush the shadows to the black. And I think that's more of a exposed to the left kind of theory. where you actually push more stuff into the shadows so that the noise doesn't show. It just gets clipped to black. At least that's how I shoot when I think I'm going to have a noisy picture. And I like punchy images anyway.
Can we go back to one question?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed one. Yeah, go right ahead.
The blind guy, the same guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was asked a while back. He was asking about the viewfinders.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that, blind.
I think it's a good question. How would you compare OVF and EVF? Is the quality of the EVF important to you, and so on? So, Emily, you want to answer first, then I will answer.
Fun, strange fact, aside from my film cameras, I've never owned a camera that didn't have EVF, because my first sort of SLRs were actually the Sony SLTs, and then I went to the A7 and then Micro Four Thirds. I just like, my style is just ease of use, and if I can see straight down the lens and see how the image is going to turn out with the EVF and get all of like my level and everything straight with the extra information, I just think it makes my life easier. The GH5 and the S1 have a much higher quality EVF than maybe the GX85 or the G7, and sometimes then I just rely on the screen a little bit as well. I'm not a purist. I do spend half of my day just looking at the back of the screen. But yeah, I find them very helpful. How about you?
That's it, yeah. The EVF was like the turning point for me. It was obviously I've shot a lot of cameras with OVF, all the film cameras and all the DSLRs before mirrorless, but that was like the turning point for me because you can see what you get. Obviously, I can expose. I used to shoot film. I know how to expose my shots, but still to see exactly what you get. And with the EVF, you get so many possibilities that are impossible with the optical viewfinder. And just a couple of days ago, there was some like news that Panasonic made a viewfinder that can correct color blindness or something, that color blind people can see the colors kind of the right way. And I think it's pretty amazing, and that's obviously really impossible with any kind of other viewfinder, like optical viewfinder. So there are so many possibilities with that, and so that's it. And the quality of the viewfinder, of course, it's important because that's how you see the view, and that's how you compose and everything.
Right. You know, ironically, I started with a Sony NEX. That was like in 2012 is when I started doing photography. And I bought this Nikon D40, you know, like a really old DSLR with the optical viewfinder. And that's what made me switch to Nikon, was from electronic, from the NEX to Nikon, was because of the optical viewfinder. And I preferred it. For the longest time, I preferred shooting with an optical viewfinder. But now I'm sort of 50-50. I can go either way because I shoot film a lot too, and I'm okay either way. But yeah, having a viewfinder, electronic viewfinder, is definitely helpful. And I found sometimes the exposure you see is not always exactly what you get. Particularly in low light. If there's just not enough light there to saturate the sensor, the EVF is not going to reflect the actual exposure. So a lot of times the image will be much darker than what you actually see on the live view. At least that's been my experience with Olympus. I don't, and I'll have to do a video on that once I figure out exactly the read speed, and you know, it's kind of technical. But anyway, that's just been my experience. I'm kind of good either way with EVF or OVF. And I think sports action shooters until recently preferred OVF for the, you know, there's no lag, right, when they're tracking something. Let's see. The G9. So people are switching because of the OVF, right, to Panasonic. And that's one thing I noticed on the G9. It has a 3-something megapixel electronic viewfinder. And it has a top plate LCD. Are the buttons illuminated too on that camera?
Buttons?
No, they're not illuminated.
On the S series has illuminated buttons, but not the G9.
Well, it weighs a kilo better. the S1, man, that would be the perfect camera if it was about half the weight. Man, but yeah, and I think maybe because I haven't tried a super high res EVF like in a G9 or an S1, that I still am fine either way, optical or electronic.
The viewfinder on the S series is awesome.
Yeah, it's like a 5 megapixel image, right?
Yeah, it's better than live.
How about you, Emma? You just started shooting. How long have you had your S1?
Oh, I was an early adopter. I think I may have pre-ordered it. So did it come out maybe March, maybe April?
Wow.
Last year. Yeah. So I've done a dozen or so weddings with it now, both film and photo. So yeah, it's no learning curve because the menus are basically the same with the GH5.
Okay, and that's probably why you picked that, because there's a lot of full frame choices, beyond, and Panasonic was brand new. Was it mainly just because of the familiarity you had already with the menus, or?
Yeah, it was half that, and also because I do wedding films. If I use Cinelite D or the Panasonic Vlog, I feel like the different clips from the different cameras will grade together a bit better.
Right. Right.
I've been using second photo shooters that use Sony and Nikon, and sometimes it doesn't quite mesh together perfectly.
I see. I didn't think about that, but you're right. That would be definitely an easy upsell to videographers. Is now you can, when you're grading, you can apply the same LUT to all of the cameras, right? Regardless. Yeah. Does Panasonic have any kind of like try before you buy? I know Olympus does that in a lot of places.
Not that I'm aware of, but I did totally rinse the Olympus try before you buy. I tried the fisheye. I got the EM1 Mark II. I ended up buying the fisheye. It's such a great idea. They're that confident in their equipment that if they get it in someone's hands, they're going to fall in love with it. And I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
I agree. It's a good idea, but they don't do anything like that in Finland, at least. Panasonic, I mean.
Yeah, they just started doing that here in the U.S. in a few states. They're not doing it anywhere near me, but I think it's a great idea, and I think that's something camera companies really need to do in general, is get more involved. And I'm now starting to see Olympus at least get more involved with the community here in the U.S. Like they're sending out their ambassadors to photo clubs and camera stores and doing seminars and presentations and free classes. Now they're adding the try before you buy here in the U.S. So I think they're trying, and I think that's going to help the camera community in general. But amazingly, I feel like Panasonic doesn't have as strong a presence here as Olympus even in the U.S. But I don't know. What does my audience think? Is there some, if you're in the U.S., do you feel like Panasonic is stronger here than Olympus, or vice versa? Because when I go to Best Buy and my local camera store, Panasonic is not even, on the shelf. But what's it like in the UK and in Finland? Is like if you go to a camera store, what are the normal outlets to buy a camera like in Finland, for example? How would you buy a Panasonic?
Camera store or online. There are, at least here in south of Finland. Finland is a funny country. Mm-hmm. We have a pretty big area, but most people live here in the south part of the country,
right?
And I live in Helsinki, and we have I think pretty good selection of places to buy, and I think people buy a lot also online.
Okay, but I mean, when you go to a camera store, they're just on the shelf generally, or is it you have to know which camera store to go to find a Panasonic?
I suppose you have to know where to go if you, especially if you want to see a specific model, a new model.
Yeah. How about in the UK, Emily? What's it like to go to a do they have camera stores? I have no idea.
Yeah, we have Jessops and Wilkinson cameras, and it tends to be quite brand neutral. Like there'll be a cabinet for each different brand, and they'll stock each of the flagships, and it's a lethal combination when you walk in and you see like they have the Olympus macro lens on display to take away, and that's how I end up getting in trouble.
Yeah,
but it's relatively simple. You could walk into a shop and try an Olympus, try a Panasonic, and see which one suits you better.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's really hard here in the States lately. I mean, I'm lucky I have 4 camera stores nearby within driving distance. 3 of them are owned by one person, you know. But yeah, it's hard to find Panasonic. Like if I go to the major outlets, do you have a Best Buy in the UK? I don't know how big they are.
They tried briefly to break into the UK and instantly went into administrations, but we do have a Currys and a John Lewis, which is quite similar.
Okay.
Yeah, they came in all bravado, like customer service, and then everyone's like, no, well, it's 10 quid cheaper next door. And Best Buy didn't last very much.
So it's not Best Buy.
No, it didn't last very long.
Okay. Interesting, because I always tell my viewers I don't like to travel, but I think, Emily, you were here in the U.S. not long ago, and I think in your video you said it was like your favorite part of 2019, or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, I took my mother on a road trip, just me and her, and I was driving around, and we did some national parks and got out into nature and camped in Monument Valley, and I did some astrophotography and stuff. It was great.
Wow.
Loved it.
Yeah. How about you, Matti? Have you been to the U.S. or?
Yes, many times, and at the beginning of this video, I said I lived in LA area for about 2 years. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I lived in Pasadena.
Yeah. How about recently? When's the last time you were here?
Oh, that's been a while. Probably maybe 2008 or 9.
Wow. So more than 10 years.
Yeah, but when did you last come to Europe?
I've never been.
So there you go.
I hate traveling. I did it once. To Malaysia.
I love that. I love you. No, I don't like. Not for me. I've got everything I need here. No traveling.
Once I got there, it was fine, right? But the trip itself is nerve-wracking. It's like 20 some hours on a flight. But the worst part of it is before they land, the stewardess goes around handing out these little notes to you. And I read the note, and it says, if you have any kind of paraphernalia or drugs, blah, 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 it is, the penalty is death. And I'm like, you could have gave this to me before I got on the plane.
I always feel guilty. I've got nothing to hide, but I suddenly feel like I'm hiding something in my bag as soon as I walk through Jersey.
I'm like, why? Because Malaysia is primarily, I think, Muslim or whatever, but they're really strict. I mean, they got first punishment by caning and then ended by death, and I'm like, I should have kept that note. Who would write such a thing? I'm like trying to go on vacation. I'll never forget that.
I feel all those things that you have to fill in on when you go to another country. I think they all are kind of intimidating. But of course, if it's a death penalty, then it's maybe a bit more intimidating. But still, even if you come to the United States, the paperwork is kind of intimidating.
Yeah, I have no idea. The last time I flew a plane, I think it was 1998 or 96 or 97. I mean, it's been late 90s. So it's been 20 some years since I've been on a plane. Is that 20?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's always a bit of a culture shock when you arrive in the States and you just see people casually walking around with guns, because we don't have any of that in the UK. And it's just like going through security, there's just people with machine guns, and you're like, okay, this is fine. This isn't intimidating.
Yeah.
It is. It's strange.
Well, just seeing people with like a holster and a rifle walking around, or?
Yeah, it's crazy. Getting my drone through security is always fun. More often than not, people pull it out and just ask me loads of questions about it. And it's like, it's fine. It's always a curiosity.
Not for me. I don't travel. Like, so I don't have to worry about any of that kind of stress. There's a lot of great places here in the U.S. I can go to that I haven't been to.
You have such a big country. There's a lot to see.
Yeah, you guys should just all move here. That's it.
Oh, I would. I would if I could. I would.
I know how it is. Too many roots, right? Where you live, you have your family and friends and etc. But anyhow, anyone else have any other questions for Emily or Matti? Because this is a rare opportunity for me to get them both here, with their schedules. Especially, it's not wedding season now, right, Emily?
Yeah, it's blog about weddings and try and book wedding season, and then wedding season starts around April and then doesn't stop.
Yeah, God. So what I'd like to do is, just, I guess if there's no other questions, I mean, there's still a lot of people online, but
Somebody's asking, what video editors do you use?
Oh, okay, yeah. What do you use, Matti?
I'm using Final Cut 10.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, Final Cut. And I use this little toolbox to help with my editing, and you feel like you're on a spaceship with all the little dials and buttons. Really speeds things up.
You have a review on that recently too, right?
Yeah. It's a great piece of hardware. Yeah, along with my crazy split keyboard.
Okay, so Apple users, basically, I use DaVinci Resolve. It's free. Let's see. But okay, and I know Emily does, but Roberto's asking, do you grade your footage? Emily.
Do you, Matti? Oh, yes, I do. Yes. I tend to shoot Cine Light D in my cameras because that, whether I use my Osmo Pocket, my drone, everything has a very similar semi-flat profile. So basically, you can use it out of camera without touching it, but you can put your own stamp on it if you want to. I did toy with Vlog for a while, but it does make the editing process quite a bit longer. And with wedding films in particular, it's like 50% be as efficient as you can and do a good job, but you don't want to spend hours getting the color exactly right on one 10-second clip. So I do grade, yeah.
Okay, and then how about you, Matti? Do you grade your footage, or?
I have pretty much similar workflow as what Emily just said. I use the same profile, the Cinelight D, which is semi-flat. And most of my stuff I shoot here in my office, and the way I set up my lights, the picture is almost perfect straight out of camera. I do just very small corrections, white balance and a little bit of grading, and that's it. But it's a great picture profile for video, Cinelight D.
Okay.
I like it. And when you're shooting, I guess it's the same thing with the wedding videos. And if you shoot for YouTube, you want to make it look good, but it's not like a fine art or a movie project that you want to spend hours just grading. It doesn't make any sense, I think.
I agree.
Okay, I'll have to try that on my GX85.
Oh, you have to hack it to get your Cinelite D on the 85.
Oh, they
you
don't
have to
have
get
it?
it into no, you have to get it into service mode and put it in, but it can do it. I've got it to do 50 frames a second as well, which is always nice for a bit of slow-mo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Does void your warranty.
Yeah, well, it's cheap camera anyway. So, Maddie, do you sell those T-shirts that you're wearing? Show everybody your T-shirt.
Oh, this is an old one. This one. Hold on, can you see it?
Yeah.
I have the other one.
And
I usually have the other one that says real photographers don't need a mirror. So far, I haven't sold any, but I guess I should consider that. And also, I don't have it right here right now. The cameras, the camera strap that I have, I get a lot of questions about that, and everybody or many people would like to buy it, and I'm kind of working on it. I try to get a batch made, a small batch, and see if people actually want to buy it when they hear how expensive it is.
So do you have do you have like a site, or do you just people watch a video and you have links to it in the bottom? How would they find your T-shirt, and then in the future find a wrist strap?
I'll put a link in the description whenever I have something.
Okay. And the T-shirts, are they part of the YouTube channel, or you have a separate link for it, your own individual link?
Separate link.
Okay.
Like a link in the description.
Right. Okay.
And these T-shirts, they are old thing for me. I designed these couple of different slogans many years ago already, but I like them, and I like to have the similar kind of outfit whenever I'm making YouTube videos. It's like a trademark or something like that.
Okay, and then Joe was a little confused. Did you say Cine D as in dog, or Cine V as in Victor?
D like dog.
Okay.
D.
Okay, and I think, Emily, like, how did you actually start? I mean, you've been doing wedding photography for a while now, but when did you add video services to it, and how did you kind of break into that?
I did a trial of 4 wedding films just for an entry price of like something nominal, like £400 or so. And just was very upfront with the clients, like, you know, I'm new at this, I'll do it as a discount, have low expectations. And then from those 4, I found my feet very quickly, and then luckily had like portfolio to start me off. And then ever since then, it's just upping the prices every year and keeping competitive. Right.
Yeah, I think your video work is just amazing. The production quality that I see on your channel, I'm always impressed, you know.
Oh, thank you. I'm still quite new to video. I've done it a lot less years than photography, so I still feel like I'm learning all the time.
No, I would never know it. Trust me. Because I've been YouTubing for a little over 3 years, and you could watch a video yesterday or one I did 3 years ago and be the same. It's like nothing's changed other than I do these streams now. But how about you, Maddie? Do you do any video work? Do you get any video work?
Not really that much. I've done some corporate videos way back, a long time ago, really long time ago.
8mm?
No, digital. But I've done some real film films also with 8mm, and the cutting was real cutting back then. You had to cut the film and glue it together or tape it together. But I don't do video work for clients anymore.
And Andrew's saying he bought a couple of things. What did you buy, Andrew? It said it's Emily's fault.
I get that a lot. I'm sorry. I was going to reply to you now.
Oh, I get the worst. I got the worst case of gas myself. Do you guys suffer from gas? I don't think Maddie does. Maddie seems very pragmatic, you know, like Like he only buys something if he needs it for something very specific. But correct me if I'm wrong, Matti. Do you have gas, or you are you?
You are right. I think I'm over it. Although I have to say I like lenses, but I still I'm pretty much over gas. I don't really buy things unless I really need them. I try to avoid that. I try to be minimalistic, and I hate all unnecessary stuff around me.
Wow.
Whether it's cameras or clothes or furniture, whatever. I like to have things that I need and nothing else.
Okay, I know Emily's already a confessed gas addict.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I just see it as like I don't buy shoes. I get my hair cut once a year. I'm gonna spend my money on something.
Wow,
that's my addiction.
So, what's the last thing you bought?
Oh,
and when?
I've ended up with the Sigma 85mm L mount for my S1 in the basket. So that's sorry, Christopher, if you're still on the chat. And then obviously we were saying before about the Siori anamorphic. That's the next one I'm going to buy for Micro Four Thirds, definitely.
Wow, yeah.
I think I might sell a few to make room, revolving door.
Seriously, what's the last thing you sold that was of any consequence?
I've just sold my Weebill Lab and my Crane M2 gimbals, just because I've upgraded to the Weebill S. So now I don't need 7 gimbals. I can just roll them all because it does everything.
Right. Oh my God. Okay.
But I don't often sell. I always intend to sell, but then just go, no, my precious, and try and keep everything.
Right. I can't.
Full of stuff.
I can't get rid of anything. I'm so addicted. Even my 15-year-old Pentax K10.
And then the Q.
Oh, the Q. Right. Seriously, if I had to switch brands, it'd probably be like Pentax. What would you guys switch to if Panasonic went out of business and all your cameras died? They sent out some sort of firmware update that disabled your cameras. What would you buy?
I'm quite intrigued with the Fuji lineup. I think it has that kind of nice style, like the Olympus Pen F.
Okay.
What about you?
What about you, Matti?
I'd buy Leica, probably. Leica Q.
Leica Q.
If money has no option, it's a good option.
Wow. Okay.
It has a strong Panasonic DNA, though.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, I guess it would. Yeah. Leica and Panasonic they have a lot of I'm sure they share a lot of technology, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Queenie's here. She's a regular of mine. She's asking, what are your artistic influences as creators?
Oh. That's a tough one. You go first, Emily, and
okay.
If I have something to say.
In a very sort of amateur way, I like to study cinema. I recently watched 1917. It's like a war film, and it's made to look like it's all one cut. And just sort of, I found myself just watching it going, where is the cut? What is going on? And just seeing how far professionals can push cinematography, I just think is amazing. I'll never be anywhere near as good as that, but I do like to study it, and I do have an interest in it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm similar to that. Go ahead. I'll tell mine after you, Matti. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm following some fine art photographers, and their work amazes me because I don't understand what goes in their mind when they are shooting the stuff, and I don't understand it. But it's intriguing because it's so complicated. It's not some simple like sunset or yellow raincoat in an epic scenery. It's something else, and I'd like to somehow understand how to make pictures like that. They are not always beautiful or epic, but they are just something I don't understand, and I'd like to learn to understand that and somehow be able to make something like that. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, and I'm sorry, just clarify a little bit what you mean. You don't understand something technically about the image or something artistically about the image?
Artistically, I don't understand how they put together maybe a series of pictures.
I see.
There are like maybe 3 different pictures, and to me they have nothing to do with each other's those pictures. But still, obviously, for the artist, it's a series of pictures that means something. But and maybe it's a single picture, but I just can't figure out why he or she made the picture, and that's something I'd like to learn and to make such pictures myself. And there's one particular photographer that comes to mind right away. Her name is Catherine Koenig or something, and I follow her in Instagram, and she's just amazing. I don't understand her work, but she's just amazing.
Thanks.
Maybe I should write it in the comments.
Type that in.
I'll just see how to spell it.
Yeah, for me, I think similar to Emily, when I watch a movie, I look at it from a photographer's eye, and I look at the just the lighting and the composition and how they transition from scene to scene to create the entire story. And I always think about, if I was doing a photo album, what images would I take from each scene to kind of recreate a story. But I also look at it technically, right? Like how did they light that scene, or how did they, do that? I don't know. It's like, I think a movie I really recommend everybody watch. I think, Emily, you were saying what, 1914?
1917
or 17,
very, very
right?
Good. Yeah.
I would recommend, because it's good for a laugh too. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That, have you, either of you seen that one?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and it cinematically is a gorgeous, gorgeous film. And I would highly recommend, as a photographer, you watch that with that eye, and you'll really, I think, appreciate the movie a lot more than it did like in the box office. It wasn't a big movie at all, but and I actually watch a lot of channels that deal with movie making, and but a lot of that applies to photography. What they do in cinematography. So anyhow, Kevin's saying art doesn't have to be understood or appreciated. Viewer interpretation is the most fun. And that's true. My problem is I am so like I went to some show, and this guy painted a dot on a white board, and everybody was fascinated by it. And I just could not see it. I was like, how is this art? Why does he or she, get this spot in the gallery for a white dot, It's just, and it's just like these, I don't know if you guys remember those pictures from probably 20 years ago where it looked like just a mess, but if you stare at it long enough, you see like dolphins. Or you see some, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Just white, They were just all wavy lines, but then if you stared at it long enough, I could never see anything. Never. So, let me ask you guys, like, what we'll just start with Matti. What last words do you have for our viewers here? Like, anything you want to share at all?
I just want to thank everybody for joining in today, and I don't think I have any more last words. It was awesome again, and thanks, Rob, also for having me.
Okay, great. How about you, Emily? Any last words for the viewers?
I'm just so grateful that we have our lovely community, and it's always a really nice supportive community, and it's great. I wish to do more of these. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, and it was a great privilege and honor for me to have you both here. Without you guys, really, it really makes, the community a much nicer place to be, with all the viewers here. I find the Micro Four Thirds community in general to be just outstanding. I've never had to worry about moderating somebody's comments, or how you get a lot of trolls you see on all these other channels, but you don't get that with the Micro Four Thirds community, and that's what I love about that. And I love you guys coming on my channel and being with us today. I really appreciate that, and I definitely want to have you both back again. So keep an eye on your email.
Definitely, yeah, I'm up for that.
Sure.
And everyone that came in today, thanks for participating. And I'll have my regular live stream on Sundays, as I always do. But between now and then, check out Maddie's channel and Emily's channel, Micro Four Nerds.
Best pun I've ever come up with. I've peaked. That was just the best thing I've ever come up with.
That was good. Yeah, absolutely. But check out their channels, especially Emily's last video about her 2019 story was incredible, and I really liked Maddie's street photography, black and white photography video, where he talks about how he developed a picture or came up with the idea, or what he saw in that scene. It's really wonderful, and check those out. So thanks again, you guys, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks.
Okay,
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.